Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach Playbook Paul LaPolice. Labor Day edition. So excited to get out to Regina. Rod Smith and I are calling the game. So a couple of points. I've already done 3 Saskatchewan Rough Rider breakdowns. You can check those out on the page. I'm now working on Winnipeg. So today we're going to talk about Winnipeg's defense. Let's go over some stats. Points allowed first in the CFL with 20. Net offense first in the CFL allowed. Passing yards given up first in the CFL, 225. That's a great stat. Completion percentage, 59.7, first in the CFL. No team is under 60. No team's under 65, I believe, and they're holding them under 60. How do they do this? What do they do so well? They do what's called a pattern reading defense or a match coverage. I don't know if I want to use that term, but there's 2 types of defense in zone coverage: spot drop and a pattern reading. Spot drop is just like it sounds. Like you run to an area on the field that you're responsible for and you look for routes and you pick them up as they show up into your zone. And you're just spacing the field, and you're hoping you can latch on to somebody running to your space. Now, the second thing is called pattern reading, and this is what Winnipeg does. They usually try to outnumber you. So if you have 3 receivers, they surround you with 4 defensive backs. And as the routes declare, they recognize and go, okay, this route's coming in. I'm an inside player. I'm going to latch on to that route. I'm an outside player, and the route's going out. I'm going to latch on to that route. So you're picking up routes as they develop downfield. So you have a lot of players trying to figure out, okay, which am I going to... So it's a hard defense to learn how to pattern read all this. But when it works, usually not a lot of people are open. And what happens when people aren't open? You hold the football. And then either get sacked or you have to scramble and try to find something. That's what these guys do very well. I've got about 10 clips of this. I got them all drawn up. This is one of my favorite ones I've done so far. Before I go, please subscribe to the page. Turn notifications on. It's going to alert you as we're posting new stuff. And subscribing, if you like this content, it helps support the page. So let's open the playbook on Winnipeg's defense, Labor Day edition. I'm going to draw up every pattern concept that is run by each team because that's crucial in telling you how these routes are going to develop and how the defense is going to make their plays. Because, again, they're not a spot drop team. They match up or pattern read, see what routes happen, and then they cover it accordingly. So one point I want to make is this. You've got 4 receivers. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive backs encircling those. So they have an extra man on all these plays. So what's important is now you're trying to figure out which one's going to be open. Let's bring it back a little bit and start here. So as this player runs out, well, this low player attaches to him and he runs out with him. The next one, we have a player that goes in. So the player on the inside, he's inside position, so he takes the in-breaking route. That leaves 3 players left over the top of 2. So now they can either double where they think the ball's going or double the deep route. Here you go. You see safety right here recognizing it. So between Ford and the safety, BA, they double the curl. There's only one one-on-one, and it's the deepest route. Holm is in a position where he has to take that, and it's a deep throw. And what happens on deep throws? Watch over here. Pass protection breaks down, and there's a sack, all because of the pattern reading defense. Another picture here, BC Lions game. This is the routes. They have 2 basically clear routes, and you have what I call a bench route where you work to the sideline, or a bench corner route where you've got the ability to, at 15 yards, go to the sideline on a bench route. Now, let me show you something right here. Once again, the numbers game. 1, 2, 3, 4 people over 3 routes. That's the first understanding that it's going to be a matchup man or a pattern reading defense. And look right here. Brandon Alexander's inside position on the inside breaking route. So he's got position. Diedrich Nichols comes off that post because he knows Brandon Alexander's there, and he takes this route working to the sideline. So he's in position to make a play on the ball. Bonds carries the outside one the entire time. And you have somebody underneath, Cramdy underneath for anything breaks there. So right here, probably the one-on-one is here, or the best win. He's got leverage. He's got leverage. He's a bonus for underneath. But once again, the protection breaks down. So why is it break down? Because nobody's open. The quarterback comes out of this, and he's ready to throw this ball, and he's expecting Dedrick Nichols to run that way, these two people to clear out, and there's nobody underneath. But when they switch downfield, there's a guy right there. He cannot throw the ball. That's the difficult part about this defense. Another great coverage example here, the pattern concept. This is a play every team in the CFL tries to run, where they're going to try to get this post behind a deep post. So let's go through and figure out how they played defense. If I start right here, he's man-to-man on him. He appears to be man-to-man on him, and he appears to be a free player. So that side of the field is what we call two deep man under. This side of the field is doing that pattern reading, whatever you want to call, match. They're going to recognize routes and play them accordingly. Why do you do this? Because they've got a numbers advantage, 1, 2, 3, 4, over the three receivers. So watch what happens. How do they play it? He's sitting here trying to figure out, where do I go? He's over the top going, okay, I've got this area of the field, but I'm going to wait to see what route happens. The post goes in there. BA's right there for that. This one shows up. Holmes starts to drive it. Ford stays outside in case this player goes deep. And Reddick Cramdy, he breaks in. So you have two people on the hardest. That's where most teams try to throw the ball. And they're kind of driving it. Once again, the pass rush gets home. And the quarterback has to scramble. But I love the coverage downfield, how they recognize what patterns are showing off of film, and they play it accordingly. This is an excellent play right here. They're trying to clear out two people and then have a guy run at the linebackers and then vertically up the field. I call this a middle concept. So let's see how this was played out. Right here, I want to make a point. So you have two people. He's here for an inside breaking route. He's there from an outside breaking route. So both of those are covered by those two players. He's outside. He's waiting to see if 13 goes all the way up the field. And we have an underneath player trying to sort out what's happening. And watch what he does. He flips around, recognizes it, sees that it's a middle play, and then he just latches onto it. So really good trying to figure out what pattern's coming and then just latching on to receivers. So right here, that's covered as a post. That as a corner route, that's covered as a post. He's there. And now we've got everybody covered. So the quarterback has no place to go with the football. He forces a ball that's just not a great throw, and it's difficult to make the catch. Another example of figuring out what the pattern concept is and just running underneath it. So this is what you start to run a corner route, and then you break that corner route off, and you run an out cut, and you're trying to do basically a horizontal stretch on the defense or in man, carry everybody, and then throw it underneath. But watch. I'll pause it right here. Let's do numbers. You got two receivers. You got 1, 2, 3. So in a zone structure, yes, it looked like zone, but now all these guys are just trying to figure out what the pattern is. So as this player goes out in the flat, that player leverages it. And what does that mean? He plays outside position. So this player is now, Holm is waiting to play the corner route, and he's already in position on the post. So he starts trying to get over the top of the corner route, and then when this corner route sits down, because they're trying to throw the ball to this corner stop, watch what Cramdy does. He recognizes it. He goes, oh, that's the route they like to run. He just runs underneath it. So now those two are doubling that one. That's a one-on-one. So with the quarterback looking over that way, He's got to now throw a check down, and he finds his check down. On this side, got a guy latched on in man coverage. So it looks like a combination of man and zone. Zone to the field, man to the boundary. A lot of three-man rush allows 9 players to be in coverage. Once again, here's a route that a lot of people try to run where they're trying to get posts in the middle of the field and you clear out with corner routes. So I'm going to pause it and keep drawing. So this player is supposed to clear out, and then we have a player working to this space. This player is clearing out, and we have a player working to this space. But I love the recognition about this defense. They know, hey, everybody tries to run these posts in the middle of the field. So what are we going to do? We're going to slap 2 guys right there in that throwing lane. So now, what do you have? You have one over the top, one inside this post. You have one over the top. You have one outside, you have a guy underneath the posts they're trying to throw, and you have a couple of deep guys. So there's just no place to go with the football, and that's why the sack happens, because they understand the route concept. They're dropping 9 people, and they just say, all right, when we see this route starting to develop, let's get eyes on it. And then you can see over here, Bo Levi Mitchell just has to scramble and go down. The other thing this defense does very well is the defensive backs drive on routes. You'll watch Holmes right here, and he recognizes a curl, breaks it up, makes a play on the football. That's one thing you see constantly on tape, that this team really has an understanding on when they can go ahead and there's nothing over their head. It's time to drive on the route. Here's the next picture. This is the pattern concept you're getting. You're getting a curl with a corner out over the top, but once the quarterback gets ready to throw the football, you'll see the high player. I believe that's Holm again. He says, all right, I'm going to give up on the deep ball, and I'm going to drive the curl and get my hands on and make a play to knock it down. So tremendous work on driving routes. That's showed up all over this game film. And you're going to get another opportunity to see people driving on routes right there. You can see the picture that they're running. Brandon Alexander says, all right, I see the route declared. You, Diedrich Nichols, you stay over the top. And what you can see is you stay over the top of that one. I am now going to drive this one. So you have basically 2 people there and make a collision. So their ability to drive on routes is one of the other things that they do. Besides outnumbering you, it's one of the best things they do. So you can see another one right here. So this is called a wall linebacker. He starts to wall, and then he runs out, and Diedrich Nichols goes ahead and drives it. So these are some of the things the Riders are going to have to overcome about this great defense for Winnipeg. The biggest thing they have to do, don't be in second and long.